Hello and welcome to LTWS Backstage Chronicles, where we take you behind the scenes of the Little Theater of Winston-Salem. I'm your host, Jessica Perry, and we're excited to bring you an inside look at the incredible people, productions, and creative process that makes our shows come to life. In this episode, we'll be diving into bringing Audrey II to life in our production of Little Shop of Horrors and hearing from technical director Tab May as well as costume designer Daisy Neske, don't let me mess that up, who are bringing this iconic man-eating plant to the stage. Whether you're a theater enthusiast, a longtime Little Theater supporter, or just curious to learn what we do and how we make things happen, you're in the right place. Before we start, I wanted to thank D.A. Davison Wealth Management for sponsoring this production of Little Shop of Horrors, and a special shout out to our 90th season media sponsor, Such and Such Media, for supporting LTWS Backstage Chronicles. So don't forget to subscribe to this podcast that is found on all major podcast platforms so you'll never miss an episode. And if you enjoy today's episode, be sure to leave us a review. We love hearing from you. Now let's dive in. I'm going to go ahead and start by introducing our technical director, Tab May. Say hello.
Hello, I'm Tab May, a.k.a. This Robot Dreams.
Yes, and our costume designer and costume shop manager, Daisy Neske.
Yes, hi, my name is Daisy, and I'm Daisy.
Just Daisy. No last name. We're going to just eliminate the last name now. Just Daisy. So you two have been working or kind of working together a little bit on bringing Audrey II to life, and something that we're doing that not every community theater does is we are taking on the almost arduous endeavor of building the Audrey IIs ourselves. And how many Audrey IIs are there?
There are 4 major puppets, plus some little prop puppets. They're not really puppets. They're just props. They're the... I don't want to get into spoiler territory, but also the show's been around since the early 80s, so I'm probably not spoiling anything if I say that there are little babies at the end, but they're not articulated puppets like the other 4.
Right. And so there's been kind of like some crossover between your department and the costume department.
Yes, because there's a lot of sewing involved in both the pod puppet and its extensions, its leaves. There's a lot of fabric and foam, and you know, I love the collaborative process, even with just scenery. I'm always talking to the costume designers about what choices they're making and making sure that everything is in the same color palette, the same artistic universe, and so you know, there's a lot of that back and forth anyway. But yeah, there is just a little bit more because of the intersection of the 2 areas.
Well, I just wanted to take a minute to also say that because we are building our own Audrey IIs, we are raising funds for the building of Audrey IIs and the production of Little Shop. So you can support the Feed the Plant campaign, just $25, and you'll get this amazing I Fed the Plant bumper magnet, so you can show your support for the Little Theater and for the Little Shop of Horrors. So you can find that on our website at www.ltofws.org. So take a look. Now we're back. So Daisy, did you think in the beginning when we started this production that you would be brought in to help with the building of Audrey II, or were you hoping, or?
No, I mean, I kind of figured that, of course, because of the way I knew the puppet was going to be, I knew I was going to be involved somehow. To the extent I really didn't know how much, but I think, to be honest, I think me and Tab have a great collaboration. Like, we riff off each other really well. I feel like when I have an idea, he's very receptive to it, and I feel like I'm receptive to the ideas. And we've
had a lot of really fun, exciting conversations where we'll share sketches back and forth, or we'll just we'll discover fabric in the fabric stock that we forgot was there, and just like feel this, and then, oh, can you imagine this, and get like really, really excited and worked up, and like, you're listening, this is an audio medium, but I'm bouncing up and down in my chair right now, just so you know, because it's that, it's great when you find another artist that's speaking your same language and has the same vision, and isn't afraid to explore new ideas.
And excitability. for the project, I think is really important too, which we both have. I mean, we get giddy sometimes.
Yeah. That's
and
the
forget what we're
bouncing in the chair.
doing. Yeah, and we forget what we're doing, and then we're like, wait, where were we? And then we get sidetracked, and yeah, it's been fun. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's definitely been a fun process.
So what makes this production so exciting for you? Is it just Little Shop itself? Is it just the I don't know. So it's an amazing cult classic, the movie and the musical.
Yeah, it's the show itself. I love the show. I've worked on many productions. Well, I feel like I've worked on many. I've only actually technically worked on 3 prior to this one, but I've seen it so many times and been so immersed in it. And I was the scenic painter for 2 productions. I've designed the set once, but this is my first time designing the puppet, and I'm making air quotes, even though you can't see it, when I say design, because I've been drawing so heavily on the handbook written by Martin Robinson, who designed and built the original Audrey IIs in the original off-Broadway production. Because that design is so solid, and I don't just mean the construction of it, which, you know, his technical notes are great, very helpful, but just the shape of it, the way he shaped the pod, it has this silhouette that every time I see it, just had this visceral effect. Like there's something both alluring and terrifying about it, and so you know, I am relying on that a lot for guidance. As far as like trying to put my own spin on it, that's mostly going to show up in like the color palette and how I paint it, and the fabrics that we choose to put it in, as opposed to totally trying to reinvent the pod, which, you know, there was a time where I really wanted to do that. Anyone who was at our season reveal may remember that when I was pitching the fundraising for the pod, I shared a concept sketch of an Audrey I did like 20 years ago, where I went, ooh, what if Audrey II was a giant eggplant? And, you know, big purple eggplant. And it was a fun idea, and it was cute, but, you know, as soon as I started talking to Chad, I'm like, yeah, we don't want to do the eggplant. That's not where we're going. We want to keep it pretty traditional, which is also not something I normally do. Normally, I do try to go for the crazy cutting edge ideas.
Well, this is kind of a crazy cutting edge show. So, like, how do you top that? I guess to go traditional.
Yeah, I guess this is me feeling old, but like it's not that cutting edge anymore. I mean, it was when it first came out in '82, but like it's been around for a long time. So it's now a classic, and so I think that's why, you know, I did try to push it into more creative directions initially, because I'm trying to make it fresh. But then again, it's a musical theater classic by now, and yeah, I kind of lost the thread on the point I was trying to make there.
Oh, that's quite all right.
I think it's very fresh. Like, I feel, even though it's, you know, the iconic Audrey II shape, I feel that the way that you approached it and the way that you are putting it together is very fresh.
Yeah, we are. I don't want to say it on the podcast because the power of surprise, but we have put a little twist on our Audrey II that I've not seen any other productions do, and I'm excited and proud of that. And that's where most of my collaboration with Daisy has been happening, on this like extra stuff that we're throwing in there. So again, I don't want to say too much, but the puppet itself, the pod, and the shape of it. And before I get too carried away, I have to give a tremendous shout out to Frenchie Slade. Frenchie Slade is a professional costume designer who's been in the Triad for quite a while, and she's fantastic. And she's done 2 shows for Little Theater in the last year. She did Something Rotten, and then The Producers last fall. Has she done any of?
She also did Trouble in Mind.
That's right, she did Trouble in Mind. That one doesn't stick in my brain as much as The Producers and Something Rotten, because those being the big flashy musicals. Well, Something Rotten had tap dancing eggs, and Frenchie made those, designed and built those eggs, and she built the omelet costumes. And I was so thrilled when she just called me as soon as she heard that we were doing Little Shop and says, "I want to help you build the plant." because she hasn't done that yet, and but she has a lot of experience building mascot suits. So yes, so she knows the mechanics of shaping materials and what you need, and
A person needs to be able to fit inside.
Yes, I mean she's at the shop right now stitching foam to aluminum tubing and gluing it together, and I would be so lost on this project without Frenchie and all the work that she has done. She and her friend Robin have been volunteering and in there every day, and just and she and I are having a blast working on that, just getting the materials and the shape. And last night in the shop, we had our first rehearsal with the ensemble, with putting Derek Harley, who's the puppeteer, inside the pod. He got in the pod for the first time, and we got to see him, working it, and it's still in a crude, unfinished state. But even in this crude, unfinished state, it's Audrey. It's the plant. It's our show is there already, and that's so much fun.
I'm curious. I love Frenchie and Robin. They're just wonderfully good people. So they're amazing to work with, and always has positive energy, and that's awesome. Because I know, like when we were first talking about this, there were so many people. They were like, "Oh, I want to work on the puppet. I don't even care if I'm in the show. I just want to work on the puppet." Like the puppet.
Yes.
The puppet. That's like all people talk about. So
It's a life of its own.
Yes. Yes. One of our board members, David Swift, has been taking a little mini Audrey II around town, which has been so much fun because, she's a diva and demands a lot of attention and blood, apparently. But but we haven't given her any, I promise. So you've mentioned that you've worked on this production, or in various ways, a couple of times. Mm-hmm. And so is this your first time, Daisy, working on Little Shop?
This is my first time working on it. And it's really fun. It's really fun. I'm having a great time. Like, I can't complain about any of it. It's just been an amazing experience. It really has. And I feel like I've been super creative. And you wouldn't think it, but I just feel like I've been really creative.
That's fun. Mm-hmm. What's your experience with Little Shop like before this? Have you seen it before?
Oh yeah. It's one of those. It's like Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's like one of those iconic, fun movies that everyone, when I was in high school, that's all we talked about and mimicked and all of that. So it's, for me, it's a great. It reminds me a lot of my, teenage years and stuff. All good memories, of course. But yeah, no, I love it. And I love the musical. I saw the musical, the Broadway musical, the touring one though.
Oh, wow.
But, and I just loved it. I just thought it was amazing.
It has just such catchy, earworm music.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so light, but not light. I don't know how to explain it really, or what words, but it's light and fun, but there's a darkness that kind of lurks there, but not a scary darkness, just a
little campy.
Yeah. A lot campy, but
but it does. I was talking about its age earlier, but it does still have an edge.
Yeah.
One thing I've been really curious about is like the mechanics of Audrey II. I imagine like some welding and stuff has to go into.
Actually, no. And that's been a frustration of mine. I'm frustrated with myself for not doing enough research, apparently, and also a little frustrated with some of the people who advised me, because I was led to believe that the frame needed to be metal and it needed to be welded, and that you needed a special tool to bend we're using aluminum tubing. It's mostly like 3/4 inch tubes of 16th inch aluminum, which is very light but still rigid and strong. And I was led to believe that if I put them in a regular pipe bender, that thin tubing would just crumble. That there was some special process, and there are processes to bending it where like you pack the metal tubes with sand and then heat it to 870 degrees. And I'm just like, how are we going to do this? And then Finally, though, I had an artist named Christine Toole who has volunteered, and she went to Home Depot and got a $50 pipe bender and just said, well, let's just try this and see what happens. And we did, and the pipe was fine. And so we started, and we didn't need to weld it together either. It's aluminum. It's soft enough. You can just screw through it. So it's screwed together. We've used some metal epoxy to really strengthen the joints. But I'm so frustrated because like I could have started on this weeks earlier than I did, but I wasted so much time trying to find, metal workers and welders to do something that is not only could I do myself, it's so much fun. I love using the pipe bender. We have all this leftover pipe, and I'm like, great, that's there for when I get really frustrated. I'm just going to stop, take a break, bend some pipe, and then get back to work and do it.
Oh, that's like me with the stack of papers I have in my office. And I'm like, anytime I'm frustrated, just throw some in the shredder because we have to have paper shredded. So I'm like, I'm just going to shred some paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Daisy? Do you have any scrap fabric that you could just rip through?
I don't know. I don't think, no. I just cry.
No. Well, that's healthy as well. We got to release it, let it go.
It hasn't happened yet, though.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm sure there will be a day, but as of my, time as the costume, supervisor and designing, I have not yet had a cry moment. Close, I think, but not a cry moment.
What was it?
I don't know. I'm trying to think because I was going to say I haven't, and then I remembered I did almost cry, but I can't remember when it was. Maybe if I think about it, I'll let you know, but I just can't remember.
Well, we work in these environments where, anything could happen.
Go wrong.
Anything could go wrong, and
Yes.
we're constantly having to adapt and
Yes.
change things on the fly. And no matter how calm of a person you are, or it can be stressful.
Yeah. I mean, you could have this beautiful piece of fabric and it's your favorite part of the whole show and you cut a sleeve wrong and you don't have any more.
Oh.
I mean, that's like stuff like
That
that
hurts.
just breaks your heart. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But yeah.
Oh, yes. I could. I've done that before when I took costuming in college, and I just measured wrong and
Yep, happens.
couldn't do anything
Or
about
you're
it.
seam ripping and you cut a big old hole in it. I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong. I don't even want to talk about because I don't want to jinx myself.
No.
But yeah, so far, knock on wood.
But we have a really, really great team and a huge support system. And that's one thing I've always loved about being a part of the Little Theater myself is that, when something goes wrong, there's so many people that go, I'll help. What can I do? Like, what can I do?
Oh, that's so true. Like today, I mean, just to give props out to Carlos, I mean, and there's too many cast members to even mention, but just when you said that, he just came in for a fitting and he's like, what can I do to help? And he just banged out so many little things that we had in the shop to do. And I was so grateful,
Yeah.
So,
I get a lot of comfort from the idea that, like, no matter what goes wrong, again, air quotes, the show still happens. And regardless of the show, whether, there's everything that, because, sorry, having an ADHD moment where too many thoughts are in my brain at once and they're all fighting to come out of my mouth next. But you're talking about all the wonderful people that we all work with in Little Theater. And, like, so even when my designs don't come out the way I intended or I don't get to make everything that I wanted, like, it doesn't matter. The show still happens and the people are still part of it. We still have the experience of creating something that is unique to us and there'll never be anything like it. And so, I mean, as soon as I saw the cast list for Little Shop, I'm like, oh, this is going to be an amazing show. It doesn't matter if it does matter if I do my job or not. But my point is, like, it's going to be a solid show regardless.
And I agree, though. One thing that's wonderful about you and Daisy and just about everybody that we work with is you don't find a lot of egos. They're not like, no, it has to be my way. They're like, no, let's work together.
You can't accomplish very much if you do it that way. That's like...
No, my design.
That doesn't help.
But my design.
Right? No, and I.
But I designed it.
Yeah, no, that doesn't. Well, and what I tell people is that as an artist, yes, I have a vision, but the vision is not the goal. It's just one of several tools that I can contribute to help us all get to our goal, which is to have the show, to produce the show, to make,
put on like one of the best productions, and honestly just giving everybody one of the best experiences, from volunteers to actors to patrons to anyone that comes and sees the show, works on the show. They leave away with something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a sense of pride, like I noticed that, and I want to just say before I forget or I get sidetracked, the ladies in the shop have been incredible and helping with everything, and they show up. We've been having shop calls every day, and they've been showing up every day and working, till 5 or 4 or early, early for me is 10, but 10 in the morning till whenever. And it gives everyone a sense of pride, especially when you have an idea or they see a sketch and we tell them or show them how it's going to go, and this is what we're going to do, and then they start putting it together. You see their eyes light up, and they get it, and it's actually wonderful to watch, I think, speaking for myself.
I spend a lot of my time in the office and in the administrative side. When I was in front of house, I would get to see a little bit more behind the stuff, or get to see people working, but it is always still one of my favorite things to do is sneak into the show and watch the audience watch the show, especially when I know there's going to be big moments in the show. I will still do that. So recently had a screening for Little Shop of Horrors, and so anytime the big moment, I would go in there and I was just watch them. I watch them watch the dentist scene because that's always so fun to get their reactions from that. So if you don't know anything about the show, when you do come to see the show, pay attention to the dentist scene. It is incredibly disturbing in the best way possible. The actor who Danny, he's a friend of mine, and when I was sitting in the read through, we were talking, and I was like, that made me feel uncomfortable. And he's like, no, I'll tone it down. I was like, no, don't do that. no, that's perfect. Like, don't worry about me. I'm meant to feel uncomfortable. You did a good job. So yeah, has there been any particular challenges? I know you mentioned thinking that you had to weld it and just getting over that hump originally, but has there been any other challenges that you've had, or?
No, not really. I mean, I feel like everything that we've tried and done so far has been pretty good. Like whatever was in my brain and what Tab told me or said what his vision was, I felt like it came out pretty freely, like the colors. That's all I'm going to say. And, just, it just all seemed to just flow. It was a nice flow. I mean, there's a lot of hand sewing and stuff that we have to still do, but I feel like it's going to be the same process. It's just we're going to start it and it's just going to flow and it's going to look amazing. By the way, I'm not even going to talk about that. You're going to have to come and see the show because it's going to be amazing. That's all I can say.
She's got me intrigued. I'm like, what is it? What is it? Can we end the episode earlier so I can find out what it is?
No.
You'll find out soon enough.
That's true because it's just around the corner. It's not too far away.
It's
literally.
We're now in the phase of what I call maximum effort, where I'm just like working more than I usually do, like still prioritizing rest because that's something I struggle with, but just it's nonstop because there's always so much to do.
Yeah.
And like I said, you never get all of it, and I'm curious to see like where we end up because there are a lot of I'm one of those designers that I always over design from the start and make it too big, and then I have to pare it down and make it smaller. And I am working to be a more minimalistic designer. I'd so admire the minimalism that some designers can just do that, but like I'm a maximalist by nature, and there's too much on the set. I have too many ideas, and as we get closer, your focus tightens, and you there's a certain instinct that takes over that prioritizes, and so I'm curious to see what ideas make it and what don't, because I know only the essential ones will, and I'm excited. But right now I'm just like, oh, I just wanna sleep. Can I just sleep?
It's going to be amazing when it all comes together and the puppets moving and
Oh, yeah,
Ralph.
I'm excited. I wake up every day. I mean, I'm same with Tab. I kind of have weird sleep schedules sometimes, but also too, I feel like it's not stressful. It's exciting.
Yes.
Like I wake up and I'm excited, and it's a great feeling to be that excited to start your day and go to the shop and just create and, hang out with everyone. It's a really nice feeling for me. I just really enjoy it.
Is this one of your most fun productions you've worked on?
Yeah, I mean, I feel I don't put the pressure on myself that I used to put on myself. So I found that is the key to happiness. The minute you start, because I was a really bad perfectionist.
Same.
And that
Ooh,
pressure is brutal, and now I'm just good is good enough. And it makes it a lot more fun.
Finished is better than perfect.
Yes.
Is a mantra that I acquired during grad school that has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Because, I probably said this the last time I was on the podcast, but I'm not really a designer. I'm an obsessive compulsive maniac who can't stop arranging colors and shapes. And when I look at something, there's all these urges in me. They're like, oh, we have to fix that. We have to arrange that. It has to be just so. And I've gotten a lot better at letting go of that over the years,
Yeah.
and especially in this job.
Yeah.
Because you have to, or you'll lose your mind.
Yeah, and it's torture. It's torture. When you have that type of mentality, it's torture. I personally found I tortured myself.
Well, and did you find that you would never get things done because
because
you would
I'd get
lost
overwhelmed.
You get lost in the details.
Yes,
You try to make everything
yes.
just so,
Yeah.
and then
Or I'd work 20 hours a day and then just get sick or just lose myself in everything, and then I wasn't even enjoying myself, or it just it was not a good combination. Way different now. Way different. And I really have so much more fun now. It's actually a lot of fun.
And now you get to play, which is the whole purpose of theater. Is to
And
get
enjoy
to play.
myself and enjoy other people. It's a win-win.
Aw, well, we are so happy to have you a part of our team.
Oh, thank you.
It's been
yes.
you fit in seamlessly.
Thank you.
I see
No
what
pun
you did
intended.
there.
Pun perfectly intended. So I just wanted to touch base on one more thing before we wrap up the episode, and I don't think everyone really knows just how massive this, like the ultimate phase of Audrey II is, and the Audrey II's final form. So I saw some of your renderings and sketch where it was put beside what was set to be like a 6-foot.
Oh yeah, the little concept model I did early on was bigger than what it actually is.
Okay.
It's for a lot of reasons. It's easier to produce and more manageable, but also we're not just building these puppets for our production. These are going to stay in our stock and be available for other theater companies who may want to borrow or rent it, which means it has to be transportable. It has to fit through standard doorways. So even though I, at one point, seriously entertained the idea of building like an 11-foot Audrey that had like a chute in its mouth to swat, it was, if you just go to YouTube and search 11-foot Audrey II, and you'll see an example of someone that did that.
Oh,
and
wow.
well, when we first saw that, we're like, ooh, let's do that.
Yeah.
And now I'm so glad we didn't, because that would be
Yeah.
more work, and also that's something that would take up too much space and storage, and a lot of people wouldn't want to rent that because it's too much. So
Because it is something that we would like to do or offer other companies as well as
Yes.
the option to be able
Yes.
to rent out the Audrey puppets and use them for their own productions, which probably helps, sticking more to classic form.
Right. And well, I mentioned his name earlier. I'll say it again. Martin Robinson, who designed and built the original puppet, just genius. What he did was, it's tempting to try to improve on that, but it's also very difficult. And so it's closer to the size he did. It's still big. Like, people get inside it. They get eaten. It's not tiny. And it's still hopefully going to be, as impressive as an 11-foot one, and it's in other ways.
So our season's called Only Murders in the Seasons for this podcast. Where do you think Little Shop ranks up there with Death Toll or Murders for the
I think
I haven't
pretty
read all
high.
the other scripts yet, so I don't know.
Oh, that's true. You know what? I can't speak, but it seems like it's pretty high up
Yeah,
there. Look how many people died.
I mean, and then there were none was pretty high. That might
that's
rank
true.
as the top one.
Yeah,
perhaps.
that's
I mean,
Yeah.
you started with 10 and ended with none. So
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah,
so
Little
Little
Shop-
Shop's probably in second place.
Probably in second
at a
place.
guess.
But gore factor, I think Little Shop is more gory than not gory, but
yeah, and it
not
can't
like
be,
Sweeney
can't be
Todd
gore.
gory, but-
Oh gosh.
None of the deaths are off stage in
Yeah,
Little Shop.
no.
I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine Little Shop in the style of Sweeney Todd. That would be horrendous. Now you're imagining it, aren't you?
Yeah,
I
that's
am.
like
I am totally imagining
I could have
it.
said that's not very difficult to imagine at all. But, are you talking about the musical style? That would take some. That would be a challenge.
No, or Little Shop in Quentin Tarantino style.
Oh wow, yeah.
Oh no, thank you.
No, it's campy and it's lovable in the way that it is. It gives you the horror factor, but it's without feeling like terrified. So it is one of those shows where we do recommend ages 13 and up, but it's always parents' discretion. So if you like my child's 12, I totally let her go see the show.
Well, in some ways it is a Disney musical.
It is.
It is
'Cause
actually
Howard Ashman.
and Alan Menken.
Yeah.
That's
Disney.
this was the show that got them the Little Mermaid gig, and we all know where that went.
That
and
is very
So yeah,
interesting.
it's a Disney musical.
You
It
two
is.
wrote Little Shop. You guys are going to be perfect for Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
And if you watch the original movie, the one that was done in the 60s, I mean Disney changed a lot from the movie to the 80s movie. I mean there's a lot of things that are different in there, and Disney made it a little bit more dark, a little bit more gruesome.
Which is surprising because that usually is the opposite of how Disney goes.
Well, but to be clear, Disney had nothing to do with the
movie.
the
Yeah.
musical
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
I'm just talking
Yeah.
about like all of the Disney movies that we grew up with. Their DNA came from Little Shop of
Ah,
Horrors.
yes.
That's what I was trying to say
From
with
the
that
mind
point.
of Howard Ashman and Alan Menken,
Yeah, they
yeah.
did the music and lyrics. In fact, I think a lot of people have pointed out that if you play Somewhere That's Green and Part of Your World from Little Mermaid at the same time, like it's pretty much the same song with different lyrics.
Ooh, I'm going to have to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you're right. The Roger Corman movie, I also think, doesn't get enough love because I enjoy that too, and it's
Yeah.
also it's weird and
It
it's
is
dark
weird,
and,
yeah.
and there are a lot of other laugh out loud moments in
Yeah.
that you don't get in.
Yeah, it's
In
awkward.
the musical.
It's awkwardly weird to me.
Right.
Like,
Well, because I mean, if for people who don't know, the original Little Shop of Horrors, Roger Corman made in 2 or 3 days. 2 days, yeah, because he had rented a film set for another film, Bucket of Blood, I believe, and he got that one done, and he still had the set for 2 days. He's like, all right, well, I paid for this, let's use it, and so he wrote a script, shot the movie in 2 days, and that was Little Shop of Horrors. So it has that kind of raw
Yeah,
gonzo energy
yeah.
because of that.
yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Wow. I couldn't imagine.
And of course, Howard Ashman, grew up with that movie. He said he used to come on late night at TV, and he thought this should be a musical, and he was right.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap it up?
No.
Go get some rest?
Yes.
Well, That's all for today's episode of LTWS Backstage Chronicles. We hope you enjoyed this behind-the-scene look at bringing Audrey II to life. I know I did. As we get ready for our production of Little Shop of Horrors. And a huge thank you to Tab and Daisy for sharing your insights and thoughts with us. Appreciate you having you here. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with your friends. You can find this podcast on all major platforms. And, of course, check out our website at www.ltofws.org for updates on upcoming productions and events. And stay tuned for our next episode where we'll explore behind the scenes of our fall youth production, The Stinky Cheese Man and Other Fairly Stupid Tales. We can't wait to take you even deeper behind the scenes. So until next time, I'm Jessica Perry. Thank you for joining us. And a special thanks to D.A. Davison Wealth Management for sponsoring our production of Little Shop of Horrors, and to Such and Such Media, our 90th season media sponsor. See you at the theater. The views and opinions of this podcast are those of the contributor and not necessarily those of our distributors and hosting company. This podcast is copyrighted. Use of this podcast without express permission may result in alien blood-sucking plants taking over the world. You have been warned.